This week in week 2 of PCP Online, it sounds like a drug, we were studying visual design. We looked at a slide share and we had to pick one to analyze, and we also created a visual resume in either PowerPoint or Keynote. Now, I had never used Keynote before, but I have to admit I am a believer. I don't ever want to use PowerPoint again if I can avoid it. We had a whole bunch of different videos we had to watch, probably over a dozen in total. But of the visual design lesson, there were 6 key. One of them was Nancy Duarte's Resonate. And instead of summarizing all 6 videos in total, I'll pick out a key point of each that I really took home with me. From Nancy Duarte's, the one that I took home was treat your audience as king. So many of the presentations I've been to and still see today really take the perspective of the presenter being king, and it's kind of annoying. It is annoying. So right off the bat, explaining in a presentation why you are there to help them, that you are there not as a lord or a noble, but as a servant, and they are the king and they're the royalty, and you are there to help them, not the other way around. I thought was a key take-home lesson. The second video had a whole bunch of points, but the one that I really took home was do not use bullets. There's a gentleman I know who was a big corporate mucky-muck in the 60s and 70s. He was the head of the Ford Motor Company when the Mustang came out, the head of Western Digital. He's been the head of a whole bunch of different corporations. And when I've seen his presentations, I literally don't need to have him there talking. All of his data is there on the slide. It's just like an information shotgun all over the slide. So not using bullets, which he uses ad nauseum, was a good take-home lesson from the second video. The third one was the signal-to-noise ratio and the superiority effect. This one made a lot of sense to me with my background as a photographer. I worked in a photography studio for 8.5 years, ended up managing it, and I guess did so well that the owner retired, put me out of a job. Darn him. But the superiority effect about finding what's primary and secondary in the slide, and also the signal to noise where you have so much text or text behind a very active background, so it makes it virtually impossible to read that text. But having simplicity was a very good take-home lesson from that lesson. You know what I mean. The fourth video was making visuals primary, and again, this really struck home with me with my photography background. Visuals a lot of times in presentations that I've seen are not even secondary, they are tertiary. They are something that is used to decorate. They're not something that is primary. And that was something Nancy Duarte talked about. Use them as design, not just a simple decoration or adornment. And so taking the primary perspective and making that what hits you, the visual of it, and having the text, if there is any, be what supplements the concept, was a real turnaround in thinking for me, but a very good one. The fifth video was the rule of thirds. Again, photography background, splitting things up. I have seen many times in photographs where I thought, man, if they just laid a grid down on that thing, they'd realize they need to pan right or left 20%, or even sometimes just 10% would bring a visual balance to the photograph or to the image. You don't see it in movies as much, but some of the independent movies I see it a lot too. It's like, guys, a simple rule of thirds would really help your cinematography. So that was a great take-home lesson and a reminder of what to adhere to when it comes to the choice and the layout of the graphics in a SlideShare presentation. The final video was the one about visual breathing room and creating space with white backgrounds. This I found really interesting. The main take-home lesson I took from that video was actually something that wasn't in the video, but it got me thinking. And that was to treat every single slide like a billboard you see on the street. Those things are designed to have a maximum attention-grabbing, maximum cognitive impact and maximum, take home. You bring it home with you. It locks in your mind. But in a very finite amount of time, you could be driving down the road at 70, 80, some of my friends, 90 miles an hour, and you can still lock away what that billboard was trying to communicate to you. And that's what the breathing room created to me in the slide shares, was treat every slide like a billboard. Maximum effect, maximum punch. Visually, conceptually, whatever the points are, bam. Get as much in there in as clear and concise a way as you can. So there is a much shorter synopsis, thank God I'm not going over time, of the visual design lessons we had to do today. I just finished my slide share, thank God, and that was one of the hardest projects I have ever done in all of Full Sail. Mike Reeves, mixing and producing from Mike Reeves, was candy compared to this, just because it was a mental whiplash going from audio and all that into visual design and presentation. It was a mental whiplash. Anyway, that is it, and thank you very much. I'm enjoying the class.